Malcolm, this upswing in the global economy, where are we seeing it, and what's behind this uptick that we've seen recently?
It's looking quite synchronous. You know, Morgan Stanley had a good call at the start of the year, saying they think this is going to be the most synchronous growth and the best synchronous growth since 2010, and it's shaping up that that's probably going to be the case. We're halfway through the year. We've got Japan, of all places, you know, the old place where it couldn't milk growth for decades, running at 4% annualised, the quickest G7 nation. Europe's looking better. And across Europe, it's looking more evenly distributed, the growth picture there. Places like Italy even are picking up. And of course, Asia, you know, the rest of Asia, ex-Japan, still has very good growth stories. And the US, sure, it hasn't lived up to some of the expectations, but we're still seeing growth there, you know, outperform where we were a couple of years back.
It's certainly an improvement, and you know, I guess to the point that, you know, we got the Fed minutes overnight. You know, everyone's sort of puzzled why there's a very little inflation. But when you look at the other side of that coin, it does tell us that it is possible to have growth and almost no inflation, which certainly is a good sign.
Right.
For economies, isn't it?
Well, there's still so much angst over why there's not inflation in many of these markets, many of these economies. And for central banks, it's certainly still a real risk. The problem is, if we get this cyclical upswing turned to a downswing and they haven't had time to reload their bazookas, you know, what's left?
Right.
They're going to be in a tight spot. So they need inflation. They want it back. The conditions, the economic conditions seem to be getting there. There's a few missing pieces, though. Capital expenditure by companies, you know, right across the world. You'll hear central bankers, policymakers bemoan the lack of investment. That's holding back growth. And wages. We're not seeing wages grow. Who knows why? I mean, that's the real riddle out there at the moment.
Right. And with rates so low, I'm sure a lot of these companies are sitting on, I mean, it's almost inefficient to sit on this cash because rates are so low. But again, that is a puzzle. Talk to us about the U.S. and China. Obviously, we can't talk about the global economy without talking about the two heavyweights here.
Right. So they're still the big drivers. And, you know, it's debatable what caused this whole upswing in the first place. You know, trade, of course, has been far stronger than people thought. But trade growth stems from a reason as well. There's got to be demand underpinning it. And that's probably where China comes in. You know, the long multi-year deceleration we've seen has steadied now. Where you know, last year we were at 6.7% growth.
Right.
First half has been 6.9%. So we could even see an acceleration for the first time in many years in China. That's underpinned commodity prices, and that has made the global economy and the global outlook a lot better. Combine that with the biggest consumer in the world, the US, looking firmer there. We saw strong retail numbers there.
Right, the blowout numbers on 2 days ago, or
right.
yesterday, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, these two huge engines for the global economy are looking good. And then the other guys, the laggards, are catching up as well. They're, you know, Europe and Japan, they've been the surprise story this year. Put it all together, step back, and we think, hey, this is looking pretty good.